What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today I just wanted to do a quick off-the-cuff video. I get a couple of questions about this topic every once in a while, so I figured I would just address it really quickly because I happen to have two guns right now I could compare and answer this question. So what I want to do today is I want to compare the cheapest 1911 and the most expensive 1911 I own. So I'm going to compare my Rock Island Armory M1911 versus my Wilson Combat Cqb 1911. But before we do that, I want to mention my patron supporters. Thank you guys very much. Here in front of you, you have a Rock Island Armory 1911 in 45, and you have a Wilson Combat Cqb in 9mm. Now, the caliber won't make any difference because we're going to talk about them as if they were the same. I have a lot of 1911 experience. If you follow the channel, you will know that. I prefer 9mm 1911s, but I like 45 as well. The classics are hard to beat. So we're going to go through these guns head to toe, and then we'll talk about reliability and accuracy and ergonomics and all that stuff. And I kind of give you an idea of what you would be getting if you paid a lot for a 1911, and maybe what you'll be losing if you pay a very small amount. So let's talk about the Rock Island first. Now, I picked this gun up for around $400 from my local FFL. He was going out of business, and I figured why not buy a gun while I was there, so I picked up this guy. Now, this is the Rock Island Armory M1911, and it is a pretty rough version and a pretty period-correct version, I guess, of a 1911 GI from World War II. Not perfect, for sure, but it is a lot closer representation than something like this would be. Put together on a budget for budget-minded people, but still reliable enough to work correctly. But some of the problems you're going to have are going to be a little bit with reliability, but more so with ergonomics and accuracy. So as you can see here, starting off, we are going to have no checkering in the front strap, no checkering on the rear strap to speak of. Standard wood grips. Now, they look really good, but they're also going to be very slippery, and they're going to be harder to hold on to, harder to grip that gun, and they're also going to be a little bit harder to deal with in wet or bloody circumstances than something like a G10 grip would be. You're going to have a standard magazine release, which works all right, believe it or not. The magazine release, well, maybe it doesn't. Pops out of there really, really well if you actually get it pressed in all the way. The problem with that is with these extended magazine releases, you can reach that without breaking your grip, and you can eject the magazine a lot better. The trigger is going to be okay. Still better than your average Glock trigger, that's for sure. Even this really cheap 1911 is going to have an excellent trigger by comparison to any other firearm that you really compare to, except for maybe a tuned-up CZ or something like that. But anything even close to the price range, the 1911 is still going to kick its ass. You get a bit of an extended slide release, which is kind of interesting. The safety is going to be a little rough to use, although still more capable than something like a shield or something like that. Although it's not going to be extended, and it's not going to be as positive, and you're not going to get any cool slide stuff, slide serrations, anything like that, which is fine. You're going to get the standard sights, and these are not interchangeable, which really sucks. These are not dovetailed in. They are, I think they're actually welded to the gun. Don't quote me on that, but you're going to get a lot inferior sights by comparison that you would the Wilson Combat here. And sights are a big help when hitting your target, so as you can see, that's already going to be a problem with accuracy. Another thing that you're going to get is the standard GI grip safety as opposed to the extended version, which helps you hit that every single time. So you're going to get a little bit less reliability, because one of the problems with the 1911 platform is that the grip safety was thought to be a good idea. However, if your grip's just a little bit off, or it's a little too high, or anything's wrong with your grip whatsoever, that gun will not go off. So in a struggle for your life, for example, if you don't quite get your hand perfect on the gun, it may not go off, and that could be a huge issue. So that memory pad is an absolute must for me on a defensive gun. You're also not going to get a mag well or anything like that, and you're not going to get a rail or anything cool like that on any of these cheap 1911s. Now, the quality of these guns is in the fit and finish, as you can see, is pretty poor. Now, this Wilson Combat on the right here has around 3,000 rounds through it. I've put about 3,000 rounds through it in the last 4 or 5 months or so, and the finish is flawless. I use this with a holster all the time, and some of the stuff that you do see can be just rubbed right off. I don't know if this is a DLC finish or what it is, but it's pretty impressive. And as you can see, there's no holster wear marks or anything like that. 3,000 rounds, tons of holster use, no problem whatsoever. The Rock Island has seen no holster use whatsoever, and it's only been shot about 200 times or so. And as you can see, there's tons of marks all over it already, just from handling and from just basic use. Leaving the table, coming into my hand, and back down, I might have scratched it. And the finish is pretty piss poor in my opinion, and so is the fit. So as you can see here, it's rough to move back. The slide is very rough, and the spring is very heavy, and a lot of the gun takes a lot more effort to use. The magazine release, the slide release, all that stuff is not as finely tuned and polished as something like a Wilson Combat would be. As you can see, the slide on the Wilson Combat is so smooth and so easy to use, which is another thing that leads to reliability. So before we get to reliability and accuracy, we'll go quick through the Wilson Combat Cqb. Now, as you can see, it has the countersunk barrel, which looks pretty awesome, but doesn't really add anything to you. Although the quality of this part does make it much easier to break down and take apart, because everything fits so smoothly and perfectly. You're not going to need a wrench or a tool or anything like that to get this off to disassemble it, which is really cool. You can see there that's that awesome fiber optic front sight from Wilson Combat, and then awesome combat style rear sight sorry. The serrated blade looks really cool, and I really like the angled bunny ear type of thing they have on the rear sight there. It makes a very quick and very accurate sight picture. I'm a big fan of that. You can see here the skeletonized hammer makes the trigger pull a little bit better, a little bit lighter. The memory pad on the beaver tail grip safety is an absolute must for me. The safety itself is extremely positive, extremely tactile. You can obviously hear when that's coming off and coming on, and you can feel it as well. Something like a 1911, which is single action, and you're going to have to operate that safety all the time, it's going to need to be on there, and it's going to need to be used a lot, not a secondary type of thing. So you're going to want it to work very, very well, and in this case it does. Slide release is extremely smooth, extremely easy to use. Everything is fit and finished very well. The trigger undercut is far superior, and so is the what is this, 25 lines per inch checkering. It adds for an amazing grip. Not to mention the Wilson Combat G10 aggressive grips allow you to get just that much more of a grip, and obviously you get a better trigger as well, not only in poundage. I think this is running about 2.5 pounds for this trigger, and this is around 4.5 pounds. So both of them are crisp, and both of them are very short and have a very good reset. This one obviously has a better one, $3,000 gun, but both of them are good. As you can see there, this one's obviously longer. Obviously I prefer this one, but you should for that price range as well. And then, as you see, the fit and finish is far superior. Now we'll get in reliability. Is there a real difference in reliability between these two pistols? Absolutely there is. Absolutely there is. This pistol has gone 3,000 rounds, 0 failures. I didn't even clean it for the first 1,000 rounds. I put a little bit of lube on it, but I did not clean it for the first 1,000 rounds. So very impressive. Since then I have cleaned it, but it functions extremely well. This is probably the most reliable 1911 that I have ever tried, and I've had quite a few if you check my channel out. I've had Dan Wesson's, I've had Colts, I've had Springfields, I've had all the major brands. Now, I did have a Wilson Combat officer's model, which are famous for reliability problems to begin with, the very tiny 1911s and 9mm, but that did have some issues. So don't think that you can just buy any super high-end 1911 and it will work. But from my experience, the government models and mostly the commander models are definitely going to be the most reliable, and this gun has been excellent with all ammo types. The Rock Island, I have about 200 rounds through, and I've also had 2 stovepipes. So I've had about a failure every 100 rounds or so, which is about 99%. Still pretty good if you're using it for self-defense. However, not near as good as 0 out of 3,000. So as far as reliability goes, I think a lot of that has to do with the fit and finish, how smooth the gun is. The smoother it is when it's clean, the smoother it's going to be when it's dirty, and that works really well. All the parts are finely tuned, and they're all hand fitted. That's really important because this gun was designed in an era where craftsmanship was very important. accuracy is where the gun really shines. So the Wilson Combat 1911 shoots about 2.5 inches at 50 yards. That's what it's guaranteed to do from the factory. Can you do that? Probably not. I know I can't do that. I can't shoot 2.5-inch groups at 50 yards offhand, but I can probably shoot. I can shoot a 6-inch plate at 50 yards offhand. So 6-inch groups, no problem with this all day for me, but it's guaranteed 2.5 inches. So that obviously lowers that that circle of error from the gun, which allows you to be more accurate yourself. Now the Rock Island, from my experience, I am not nearly as accurate. I think I shoot around 5-inch, 4-inch groups at 25 yards with this gun, and that's impressive considering the sights. So I don't know about the mechanical accuracy of this particular firearm, but I do know about the accuracy you can get out of it personally. And the trigger's not quite as good, but it is still pretty good. But the real detriment to your accuracy on the Rock Island is going to be the sights are absolutely freaking terrible. These are some of the worst sights you'll ever find. So having a really good trigger is a big plus, especially for speed shooting, but the sights really let you down. I can't say that enough. These standard GI sights that you have on here are better than some. They're not the worst sights I've ever seen, but they're definitely the worst 1911 sights I've ever seen. So it makes having a very good sight picture an awful hard thing to come by. So accuracy in the accuracy department, I would consider this at least 3 times as accurate as this gun is. And reliability, I would trust my life with this gun way more than I would with this gun. However, if I was in a pinch, I wouldn't have a problem having this either. Like if there was a serial killer, this is the only gun in the house, I'm still picking this damn thing up. Now, ergonomics wise, I kind of spoke on that a little bit when we were going over it from head to toe. However, I wanted to clarify that the reloads on the Wilson Combat are significantly faster because you can just simply reach the extended magazine release. Now, you can buy one of those for this for about 60 bucks, but it's kind of putting lipstick on a pig, right? So you can use that, so the reloads are considerably faster, the gun is smoother, so the reloads are going to be more consistent. The operation of the gun in general is going to be more consistent. The safety is going to come off every single time when you want it to because it's right there, it's easy, it's a little bit bigger, it's a little bit more ergonomic, and so the safety is going to work every time, the grip safety is going to work every time. Your draw is going to be more consistent because the gun feels good in your hand. That's one of the things a lot of people don't talk about with expensive guns, but they take down all the little unnecessary points where you can scratch yourself or pinch yourself or anything that's even slightly uncomfortable. They all blend that in perfectly. And Wilson Combat did that with this gun. And it's so blended that you can grab this gun and squeeze the shit out of it, which is what you're going to be doing if you're going to shoot fast and accurate. And this gun is a little bit harder to do and a little bit more uncomfortable to do because the beaver tail gets you right there. That sucks. The safety gets you right there. That sucks. And the safety gets you right there as well. So it's not as fun to just squeeze the crap out of this as it is the Wilson Combat, so you're not going to get that positive grip. Along with that, it's easier to pull the gun out of your hand because there's not enough checkering, biting into your skin, and holding on to that as well. So overall, reloads and shooting of this gun is also going to be a little bit slower. As far as the 9mm 45 debate, you can get either one at 9mm or 45. I'm not going to bring that in the picture. 45 hits a little bit harder, but it's slower. You have less capacity. 9mm is cheaper. You can train with it more. You can shoot it faster, but it's going to hit a little bit less. So you make your decision there on 45 and 9mm. I'm going to leave it at that. That's too big of a debate for me personally. But overall, man, the Wilson Combat is a significantly better gun. But is it $2,500 better? So you have to remember this retails for around $400 to $500. You can get these from somewhere between $2,700 and $3,000, these CQBs. So it has the reliability, it has the accuracy, it certainly has the cool factor. It looks a lot cooler with the beveled out barrel and the inverted crown on the barrel itself, along with, I see you can get all kinds of cool slide cuts and everything like that. I kind of have these weird cuts here. I think these are from the Browning High Power. But you can do press checks with those if you want to. But the whole gun itself, you can get these customized however you want. So if you want a silver trigger, if you want standard blacked out sights, if you don't want a magwell, you want a bigger magwell, you can change it at your leisure with a custom gun. Whereas Rock Island, if you called Rock Island and asked for all that shit, they'd probably laugh at you. So a lot of upsides to the Wilson Combat. but one huge downside, that you can get 6 of these for one of these. So is it worth it to you to get the $500 gun and get a couple more guns, or maybe take a trip to Haiti, or maybe take the girl out to 20 date nights, let's say, something like that, or you want the super cool 1911? So that's really up to you. I just want to give you some pros and cons of these guns and let you know that there is some real upsides to a $3,000 gun. People say that it's not worth it. Well, it depends on how much you shoot. If you shoot 1,000 rounds a month, it's probably worth it. I mean, I shoot, now that I have this, I have several other 1911s that I haven't shot at all since I got this. Because why would I? This is more accurate, more reliable, faster, and it feels better in the hand. So overall, for me, I think it's worth it. But I am a 1911 connoisseur. I also shoot a lot of ammunition a month. So for me, it's worth it. But for most people, I think most likely it's not. And most likely, if you're looking for a 1911, I would probably go with neither of these. I would probably find something around the Colt competition line, or maybe the Springfield, or maybe even up to a Dan Wesson, and you're going to get 99% of what you're going to get here. Maybe a little bit less reliability, but you're going to get all the features you get with the Wilson Combat. However, you're going to get it for about 1/3 of the price. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later. Well, that's it. I grabbed my phone instead of a mag.